Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 8 of the Grunge Bible podcast. My name is Chris Salona, and I am joined, as usual, by my friend Ethan Shalloway. Ethan, how you hitting today?
Chris, we're doing okay. It is May 3rd, so this is recording the week of, and I'll be honest, I'm a little tired, brother. I feel like it's been a long December.
It has been the longest of Decembers, and it's May. I don't know how it's already May, but man, I'm fucking tired.
Dude, I'm so tired. But I do everything right, and I'm still tired.
You try to dot all your I's and cross all your T's, get the sleep, try to eat well, avoid other things that are, going to be detrimental. But man, we've been running, pretty consistently for a while in our lives. I know you've been competing.
Jackson Brown would say, running on empty.
In 65, I was 17. But yeah, man, it's been a pretty hectic. It was a hectic month of April and May. I know I have a busy May. I know you do as well. So you've been on the road the past couple of weekends competing, correct?
Yeah. So, you guys know a little bit about us, but I guess a little bit more insight. So yeah, this past month I've been competing. We started the javelin season, track and field season. So past 3 weeks I've been in, went to Gulf Shores in Alabama for a meet. We went out to Eugene, Oregon. So I went to Portland. And then last week I just went to Lexington, Kentucky to my alma mater to compete. So 3 travel weeks and just a lot of exertion, a lot of driving and whatnot. And that stuff, I love it. I really do. My body's built for it. But at some point, just like we talked about last week, that stuff wears on you. So yeah, a lot of travel, but I love it. I love the life that I have to live, but sometimes you get tired,
Yeah, sometimes you get tired. I don't know about you or anybody else listening, but I tend to have a lot of things going on pretty much at all times as you do, Ethan. Yeah. I feel like I can always carve out 3.5 weeks of, I guess, what you would call high performance where, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm taking care of everything I need to. And then I reach 3.5 weeks, 21 days, 25 days, and I just crash for a couple of days. And I feel like that is imminent.
It's kind of like, and I think we're going to talk about weightlifting possibly later, due to the music we'll be talking about. But it's just like weightlifting. You go in 4-week cycles, and you go 3 weeks hard, and then you have to have a deload week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes for you need it. Yeah, you need it. You just moved, correct?
I just moved. So
everybody knows that the most draining thing in the world is packing your bags and having to move.
So that absolutely sucks.
Moving, cleaning your house, or just leaving wherever you're staying and moving. Trying to button up areas of your life.
Especially, I know there's a lot of people out there, myself included, and you as well, who have gotten in the habit just of the way their lives have been going, where you move, damn near every single year, So, I moved last August, and here I am April, May 2021. I'm moving again, but it tires you out. I haven't had a day just to relax in a little bit, but pretty soon we'll take care of that. Man, it's
get that deload week in you.
Yeah, the wheel keeps on turning though, and there's nothing we can do about it. But we've got a really good topic today. So with the podcast so far, we've got 7 episodes under our belts. We haven't really spoken a whole lot about Soundgarden. So today's going to be a heavy Soundgarden episode. But before we get into that, I would just like to shout out our 3 top level patrons who make this podcast possible. And they go by Shannon Gorgone, Sonny Mashburn, and Victor Schaefer. So Shannon, Sonny, and Victor, if you're listening, thank you so much. Your assistance and your donation to the Patreon each month keeps this podcast running, and it allows us to do this. So if you enjoy it, we'll have more on that later at the end of the episode. But thank you to you 3. You're outstanding individuals, and we're really happy that you're enjoying what we're doing so far.
Yeah, talk about beautiful souls. Can you imagine that people are supporting us to do this? I
still find it strange.
I love the idea.
Yeah, I still find it strange that there's people that seem to value the thoughts and opinions that we have about music, and I guess about things that aren't related to music sometimes too. But it's kind of strange, but we're rolling with it, and we're really thankful to have the platform. But it is still weird. We're over 5 years in, and it's still kind of weird when you think about it.
Yeah, I just imagine that they are they believe the same that we do, that we're all out here just doing our best, and they can support that. And I can get behind that too. I love that.
Absolutely. So speaking of doing our best, like I said, we're going to talk about Soundgarden, talk about a group of people who did their best, and their best was pretty damn good.
Yeah. These, people ask us all the time, like, why is Soundgarden not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah. And
people comment that, like, often, I feel like we've had a ton of messages asking about
they've been eligible
like
for a while, because I think for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we would know
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you vote for them?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we are not. We do not cast votes, unfortunately. But I think to qualify or to be eligible for induction, your first commercial recording has to be at least 25 years old. So they're far and away past that. I mean, they started commercially recording, I think, in 85 or 86. So it's been a long time coming, but we don't really hold much weight. But I mean, I absolutely agree. They need to be in tomorrow, if you ask me.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, like
I think that, like, their influence, and I mean, all the names of the people in the band. Like, it's just one of those things that people, obviously Chris Cornell, the way that they stick out in rock and roll.
Well, I mean, they were there at the beginning too. If you think about it, I mean, if you think back to the Deep Six 100%. Compilation tape that Sub Pop put out in the mid 1980s, I mean, they were on it along with Malfunction and a lot of different, Green River was on there, for example. I mean, those are the forefathers, and Soundgarden was still there, and the career that they had, they obviously broke through in 91 to the mainstream with Bad Motor Finger, which we're going to talk a lot about. But I mean, talk about a band that, when I think of Soundgarden, I just think of music that makes me want to run through a brick wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think of, I mean, obviously, I don't know what exact, I think it's a combination of everything. You got Chris's voice, obviously, that's just unparalleled. It might be the most impressive voice in rock and roll, in my opinion.
Certainly.
Then you got Kim, the absolute axe master. Like, his guitar and the riffs that he puts down are just, they cut every song in beautifully.
Oh my gosh. And it's crazy. Like, he can do it all too. The riffs that he comes up and he can shred too. He can absolutely shred. Like, I'm just thinking about the Superunknown song, the solo that he has on there. It's just absolute shredding. And I think one thing about Soundgarden is that Chris Cornell was such an incredible vocalist and an amazing singer that I think it almost overshadows at times the musical skill that the other members of the band had. I mean, Ben Shepherd on the bass and Matt Cameron, for example.
Ben's amazing.
Ben is incredible. I mean, the way he holds his bass down at his fucking ankles, and he's just hammering that thing.
The energy.
And,
Yes. Yeah. And he might, and Matt Cameron is, I mean, an absolute trooper when it comes to, like, being a backbone to songs and stuff. The way that he, like, commands
and for
stuff.
multiple different groups and across like 35 years. And I think with Matt, for example, recently, like a lot of if you talk to Pearl Jam fans about Matt Cameron versus if you talk to Soundgarden fans about Matt Cameron, you get two different responses, because Pearl Jam fans, they're like, oh, Matt Cameron ruins every song, like we need Dave Abruzzese back. But Matt Cameron is a hell of a drummer, and he's so versatile,
I totally agree. I think that he is, he's just a pillar. I feel like he's a pillar in the drum world. He's done so much. And I think a really good reading on, like, how good the musicians are their live performances.
100%.
And Soundgarden has, like, there's, everybody can picture certain, especially if you've been there, they picture certain performances and songs. But the videos you've watched, I've probably watched the most live performances from Soundgarden, or at least like full concerts. Like, I mean, like, as far as Lollapalooza, like 92, like, I've watched the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Many times.
Like, I've gone straight through it, and every song is killer. Everything is good. I feel like they just hit all the time, and you can't do that when the whole band's not on the same page. And those guys, I feel like those guys just crush.
Exactly. And I feel like with Soundgarden, obviously the four individuals that we just mentioned, but even back to the early days, like Hiro Yamamoto, the first bassist, for example, who was a founding member of Soundgarden. And then you had Jason Everman in there for a little bit as well, who was also in Nirvana for a little bit. I just feel that all of the musicians that have ever been in Soundgarden have kind of all fit so cohesively for what they were trying to accomplish at the time. Because if you think about Soundgarden, their sound evolved a lot. You know, in the early 80s, they kind of had like a little dash of glam, little dash of metal. And, you know, before grunge really existed, you know, I mean, if you're thinking about something like Ultra Mega OK or Louder Than Love, like those records were, you know, so different from Bad Motorfinger and Superunknown, which were to come in the 90s. But I mean, you talk about a band that collectively can wear so many different hats, and the musicians in those bands that can wear so many different hats as well. I mean, you just think of all the different projects they've all been a part of. But I think, you know, when I think of Soundgarden, you have to think of Chris, you know, Chris's voice and his ability there. It's, I mean, some of those performances and some of those studio recordings are just absolutely out of this world. It's almost like he was recording just to show off and be like, yeah, my voice is that good. Like if you think about a song like Beyond the Wheel, how does a human being sound like that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I've tried to sing in the mirror a few times.
Oh, absolutely.
I've tried to sing, and I physically, like, I don't know how you can train a voice. It's so weird to me. Like, I know you can practice, like, you know, other instruments, but the vocal cords are like, it's an instrument as well. And as far as like training that, I don't know you have to be born with this, and he is clearly like, I don't know. I feel like he just had it. He just, you know, he's always had it, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah,
he had like that.
No, exactly. Like, I mean, how many times? I mean, Soundgarden will come on the radio, or like my personal favorite, whenever Hunger Strike comes on. if you're with a buddy and like you're drinking or whatever, and you know one of you takes Ed's part and one of you takes Chris's part.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can't. I've tried. I will still try, but you can't do Chris's part any sort of justice. And his voice was so unique, almost kind of like, I think of, you know, the two of the more unique voices to come out of that era. Obviously, Lane Staley, I would say, is in that conversation as well with Chris. Just the unique aspects to their voice and their phrasing, and you know, certainly their abilities as writers. But do you have a Soundgarden album that is like your quintessential? If I want to listen to Soundgarden, this is the album I'm going to pick.
I do. I absolutely do. I think. I mean, I was looking like that 5-year stretch that they had from like starting with. Or 89, Louder Than Love, but then because that one has like some really good songs on there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean, I love Gun. Gun is one of my favorite songs, probably by them.
Just and obviously Loud Love too.
Yep, Loud Love, and then Big Dumb Sex is on that one.
That's a great song.
And like, so that's I don't know. I was looking through the albums and I was just like, man, there are like 6 like really. I mean, all their songs are good, but every album has like 6 or 7 like super popular or just well-known songs. Well,
they have they have like 6 or 7 songs on every single album that if you put that song on anybody else's album or anybody else's career, that would be the best song that they ever created, you know? And they've got like their albums are just filled with them. I mean, their B-sides are filled with songs that if somebody else had written it and released it, it would be their magnum opus of their entire career. I mean, which is unbelievable. And I think particularly, you know, you mentioned Louder Than Love. I think when you fast forward to 91 with Bad Motorfinger, I mean, that album is front to back, just absolute world destroyers.
Yeah. And that's my number one album. That's when I think of Soundgarden, I need an album to listen to. I kind of go to that mind frame and I just picture that right away. So yeah, Bad Motorfinger for me, we've talked about this before. People probably saw that coming.
100%.
Would you agree, or do you have a sleeper?
100%. So originally, when I first got into Soundgarden, so just as a refresher, we're in our mid-20s, so we weren't alive during the era, so we weren't alive and cognizant of these albums as they were coming out. So everything was kind of retrospective. The first introduction I had to Soundgarden, you know, obviously was Black Hole Sun, but it was also Burden in My Hand off Down on the Upside. But I think for a while, Superunknown was my favorite Soundgarden album until I segued into Bad Motorfinger. I think I heard Slaves and Bulldozers for the first time, and then I was hooked. And it's Bad Motorfinger every day of the week for me. And when I think Yeah.
I would say just starting off, like going right down the list. They're bringing with Rusty Cage. I think it was Rusty Cage, Outshined, then Slaves, and then Jesus Christ Pose.
Right.
for the first 4 songs, and like those, they're just beautiful compositions.
Yeah.
Like,
and something I always think of too with like album composition, because I grew up in the streaming age as you did as well. But back in those days, if you picked up a CD or a cassette or a vinyl, and you drop that thing in, you can't shuffle that,
right.
You normally you just drop it and let it play. And you imagine like that 4-song run to start off, like the A side to that album is just absolutely unbelievable. Like that is your introduction to that album, those 4 songs. And it's like, how do you beat that?
You can't. That's why every time I listen to the album, I pretty much start from the beginning and I go straight through. Mm-hmm. I don't shuffle that album. I can't.
Yeah. Do you have
because I love this.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite off of Bad Motorfinger?
Favorite song?
Yeah.
I would say that I really do love Slaves and Bulldozers.
Yeah.
I do love Searching with my good eye closed is really good.
That's my favorite.
Is it?
100%, yeah.
They're all really good. I think Slaves and Bulldozers though has a special. It really gets me going, like the best, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think with this album, as we've mentioned often on this podcast, you take music and you can kind of apply it to certain areas of your life or certain experiences. And you mentioned this at the beginning of the show. We were both college athletes. You still train post-collegiately. I train just for different things. But when I think of Bad Motorfinger, I think of weightlifting. I think of training for my sport, track and field in college, and now just training to train. And I have a few songs that I will always go to if I'm trying to hit like a max back squat or a deadlift or something. Yeah. And it's like War Pigs by Black Sabbath is always on there. But then it's like War Pigs by Black Sabbath and then the entirety of Bad Motorfinger,
right.
Like all of those songs. And, if you're listening out there and you're, athletically inclined at all, or, you want something to raise the heart rate a little bit, exactly what we're talking about here. I mean, those songs just channel so much intensity. And it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's like I just feel like it's like a train. Like every time the way that they play, like the way that Matt Cameron kind of like delivers the drums with the guitar it just seems like it's just revving an engine and people are just throwing coal into like a runaway train or runaway freight train.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like it's just
yeah.
goes.
And particularly their live performances around this time, like 91, 92, it's such a weird combination of, like you said, it's just like this slow driving train and it's just so heavy and so consistent, but it's also in ways it's equal parts like muddy and just like a little sloppy and just like playing that instrument just as hard as you can and just delivering that performance and the way that Chris's vocals would just layer on top of, everybody else. And Chris in his own right was a really talented guitarist as well. I think that's another thing. Chris's voice, just as it kind of overshadows the musicianship of the other 3 in the band, I think it also overshadows the musicianship that he held with the guitar.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he was doing those things simultaneously is unbelievable. He was playing guitar and singing and playing guitar with that much skill that he did both of those things. I mean, I can't even, if I play guitar, I can't even speak to somebody else while I'm doing it. I don't know how this man sang and just, stomped around the stage. You got the Cornell stomp going on. It's just,
man, iconic.
Yeah, it's just absolutely iconic. I think, the best live acts always have those acts of showmanship. I mean, you think about, Eddie Vedder climbing the rafters and Scott Weiland with his dance moves moving all around the stage and Chris just, stomping around, just playing his guitar. And, you have Ben just like bumping into everything on the stage, like not even looking up, just like rolling around with his bass
going everywhere.
Yeah. And then Kim just standing there like a statue, just tearing into his guitar. And then Matt, on the drums. I mean, they were a special group, and I'll always be really, really sad that I was never able to see them live.
Well, I was about to say, I would probably, I mean, this has a lot of factors, but if I were to pick a band that I wanted to see live for the energy that they brought, and of course, like Alice in Chains and Nirvana, I would want to see live
for different reasons, though.
For different reasons, but I think that Soundgarden in '92 would be I think the probably the Lollapalooza was the perfect concert to be at. So if you guys were at that concert, I saw some comments on the YouTube, on the video and stuff. People were kind of rehashing like their experience there, and it might be the perfect concert of the era. I mean, it looks, and like the set list was just full of. I mean, they're all bangers, absolutely great. 100%. I think I wrote them down. It's like the list goes Gun, Jesus Christ Posed, Outshined, Big Dumb Sex, Ugly Truth, Rusty Cage, Slaves, and then Searching with My Good Eye Closed. Man, that's
absolutely unbeatable.
Like an hour-long set of just like just rage.
Exactly. I think of that concert, and then I believe it was either 91 or 92, but they were opening for Guns N' Roses. I think it was Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 2 tour. And there's one on YouTube that's really popular.
Yes, we know it sounds ridiculous to say that Soundgarden opened for
I would have
GNR.
I'm not shy about my opinion of Guns N' Roses.
I'm not either.
I think they suck. I don't like Guns N' Roses. I would have gone to that show and walked right out like, screw you, Axl Rose. I don't care. Like I'm here to see Soundgarden. I'm gonna walk off and leave. But I mean those two performances. There's this one video on YouTube of one of their opening sets in France for Guns N' Roses, and it's just absolutely unbelievable. I mean they just epitomized everything that I love about that era of music that came out of, the Seattle, the Pacific Northwest area.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have Bad Motor Finger, and then 3 years later, they followed up with Superunknown, which was far and away their most commercially successful album. And Black Hole Sun on its own probably outsold everything else that they had done prior to that. But I mean, even that record has songs like 4th of July, you know.
Mailman. Spoon Man.
The Spoon Man. That song is important.
Spoon Man is one of my favorite. Probably one of yours as well, but I love that. Love that song for so many reasons. Extremely well put together. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Fell on Black Days was on that album as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Day absolutely. I Tried to Live, Like Suicide, Limo Wreck. I mean, that's another,
jam packed.
So there's 2 albums in a row, 1991 with Bad Motor Finger and 94 with Superunknown, that was really not a skippable song on there. And Superunknown, that was one of the first CDs that I ended up getting for my car when I was actually, old enough to get my permit and start driving. And I remember, even throughout college, road tripping out to college, halfway across the United States. And I just put that thing in and, play it front to back for 3 or 4 hours. I get 4 or 5 good listens in, and oh man, what a fantastic record. And then even still 2 years after that with Down on the Upside, which was a little bit of a shift in genre, they started to incorporate a little bit more acoustic guitar. But even still, that album has one of my all-time favorite Soundgarden songs, Zero Chance, on there, along with Boot Camp, the last song on that album. And I think really, you think of that run that they had from 1991 to 96. I mean, that's those 3 albums.
Yeah. I thought Boot Camp was one of your higher ones, which so the reason I thought about that was I looked up I like to see other people's rankings, and we kind of get where we kind of settle in with them. But I saw Vulture Music, or the magazine, they did they ranked all of their songs, so all 134 Soundgarden songs.
Yep.
And it'll kind of bump around. I have the top 10 in front of me, top 11, but they had Boot Camp at number 99.
Really?
134.
That far. I'm kind of insulted.
Yeah, I was like, and they have little write-ups on everything, which is kind of cool. But I thought that was interesting because I know that it was one of your I don't know, highly listened songs. So how does that make you feel that you, does that mean that you have a better understanding of this song?
Or it means I have shitty taste. I don't know.
Do you have shitty taste? Or
it's one or the other. It's me or Vulture.
Do you know something that we don't know about this song?
I certainly don't, because I don't know much, but I will say I'm definitely biased towards lyrics when I evaluate songs and when I kind of decide what I like and what I don't like. In Boot Camp, for example, some of the lyrics on there is just, same thing with Zero Chance, which is, one of my favorite Soundgarden songs and my favorite off of that record. Just the lyrics in there, and Boot Camp ends with something to the effect of, there must be something else. There must be something good far away from here. And he just says far away a few times. And just like, I don't know. I think there was one point where I heard that song at the right time where that type of lyricism and that type of picture, struck a chord with me at the time. And then I've just felt strongly about the song ever since. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the song ranker at Vulture doesn't feel the same way, but that's my personal experience with it. But I'm a big boot camp guy.
They put Zero Chance at number 89. Just
what the hell? That's a top 15 song, man, for Soundgarden.
It says
I'm insulted.
It says Zero Chance is a deceivingly tricky song. Though the chords and structure are pretty straightforward, there are a few subtle shifts in the time signature throughout. It opens up with a light and clean melody in 11/8 before shifting into regular old 4/4.
When I'm listening to songs, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Yeah, and maybe, yeah, I want to see what they said about boot camp.
Oh, they probably talked about time signatures.
No, they just said it's a full minute of hazy wah-wah guitar flutters and choppy half buried chatter before Cornell even sings a word. I think, and it says very trippy and
absolutely
psychedelic imagery.
Yeah, there's a time and place for that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you I do like their top 10.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, how do you want me to do it? Do you want me to start with 10? Start with 11?
Yeah, we'll start with 11 and work our way on up to 1.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty good. I like, and maybe we can read a few of the excerpts.
Yeah.
So 11, I was going to do top 10, but 11 can't be left out because I love this song, and it's Jesus Christ Pose. Jesus Christ Pose.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, yeah. What about that song do you? I don't know why that. I mean, actually, I do know why. So we had our good friend Chris Cafaro. I think that he helped. What was this? He has a story on his Instagram.
So he took a picture of Perry Farrell, and Chris Cornell apparently saw that picture, and it was a Perry, in a Jesus Christ pose, with his arms held out, and evidently Chris had seen that, and he was affected by it, and he wrote the song with that photograph in mind. But I think with that song, I always think about the live performances of it because there's just that chaotic beginning with the guitars and the drums and everything, and Matt Cameron's getting, he's drumming really quickly, like he's able to do it in such a great way, and Chris just stepped up to the mic and he's takes his hands off his guitar and he just puts his arms out, and sings that the first verse or so. That's what I always think about with that song. But I mean, that's a great song.
Yeah, it's so good. All right, so 10, Mailman.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I'm not a tremendously big Mailman fan, but I mean, it's a great song, obviously.
Yeah. Number 9, which I actually really like this song. This is off of Down on the Upside, Tighter and Tighter.
Okay.
It's just a really, I think it's one of the darker songs that they have, but I just because like when it was written. 8, Fell on Black Days. Yeah,
that's a no-brainer top 10 song for Soundgarden.
7, which I believe you referenced earlier, so you're doing pretty good. Beyond the Wheel off of Ultra Mega Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if Chris Cornell were reading the phone book as the lyrics on Beyond the Wheel, it would still be a top 10 song just because of his vocal ability on there. Yeah, it didn't matter what he was saying. That's just unbelievable what he was able to do on that recording.
Yeah, and a little note on this one, I guess on Good Authority, they asked Kim one time, and he said that this was his favorite.
Really?
Soundgarden song.
Kim Thale's favorite Soundgarden song.
Number 6 is Gun.
Okay.
Number 5, Rusty Cage. Number 4, Slaves and Bulldozers. And they claim this to be the best live song that they have.
I could definitely see that contention there. I mean, just the way that they break that song down, and for a while, like nothing's really going on except like Matt intermittently drumming and Ben, hitting the bass line, and then they come back and explode into the end of that song. I mean, that was an impressive live performance that they would give for that.
So we got top 3.
So the real question is Black Hole Sun number 1 or is it number 2? I don't think you can give it the top slot. I don't know. It's the same thing for Black Hole Sun to me for Soundgarden is the same thing as Teen Spirit for me to Nirvana. Like it's just so like omnipresent that it's kind of hard to actually really understand how good of a song it is.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I think that's one thing that I think it's a disadvantage that we didn't grow up during the time, obviously.
Right. Yeah, like we never knew a time where Black Hole Sun was a new song.
Yeah, because you could imagine the effects. You can, parallel it to a song that I like. I really like 21 Pilots for a while.
Okay.
I still do, but I've kind of grown. It's just a little bit different. But I like them because I was with them when they broke.
Yeah.
There's a few songs that I just love that now when I listen to it, it doesn't hold the same weight.
Yeah. I feel similarly.
Like
I feel like Green Day, the American Idiot album, Wake Me Up When September Ends. I remember when that song came out, and it was my favorite song, and it was all of my classmates' favorite song as well. And now it's just like, it's not a punchline, but it's just, some songs just become so popular that you kind of forget about the merit they have just because they're played so often and you know them so well. But so are we on number 3 right here?
We're on 3.
All right.
And
the Holy Trinity.
It is, in fact, they put Black Hole Sun
at number 3. Okay,
yeah,
that's fair. I'm interested
I like
to see.
That.
Yeah. I think that's a good ranking.
And I think I think the reason that they did it, and this is just like Black Hole Sun is different than. Obviously, like is really synonymous when to the band, but I do think of Bad Motorfinger, and I think of a lot of the heavier stuff.
Yeah, me too. And Black Hole Sun had a little bit of that, like trippier, alternative tuning, just different, technical aspects to it, which was, I think a lot of times now, I kind of don't think about how innovative, that song was for them at the time with just how it sounded, and Superunknown, the album as a whole, at that time. But I think 3 is a good placing for us. So the top 2 here, what are we missing? Let's hear number 2.
Number 2 is they put Outshined.
Okay. Yeah.
Off of Bad Motorfinger, obviously.
Yep. And that's great. I love that.
That's a great. So so I know we've been throwing out titles a lot, but can you think of a song that hasn't been said that would be the number 1? And I like it. I think it. I believe. Let me say this for every song, but I believe that this is one of your favorite songs as well.
Which I'm trying to think.
I know, and we've talked a lot of songs.
Yeah, we've talked in circles. Is it Burden in My Hand?
No, that was around like 13 to 15.
Okay.
I think it was.
And then I know it's probably not The Day I Tried to Live, but I love that song.
About the same.
What song's number 1 then, according to Vulture?
According to Vulture, it's all the Superunknown.
Because apparently I don't know anything, because I had boot camp at number 10 and they had it in the 90s. But
so I'll just read it. It says the goal here is to rank the relative quality of each and every one of Soundgarden's songs. The best one the band ever recorded was 4th of July.
Really? They put 4th of July as number 1? Okay, I love that. That's great.
Opens with a brutal churn of doom-laden detuned guitar chords. So I think it's a great number 1 song.
100%.
And I would say you love that one.
I love that song. That song is, I've used this phrase with you before, like that song to me just sounds like a march through hell. And it has one of my all-time favorite lyrics, and it's down in the hole, Jesus tries to crack a smile beneath another shovel load. Like how just wildly apocalyptic that is, and just like that takes you to what I would understand hell to be. Like they got Jesus digging shovels and he's trying to smile beneath it all, but you can't. And I think that song, like they tuned those guitars down so much, and it's just so heavy. I love that. I love that. That's a great. Yeah. I love that. That's number 1 over Black Hole Sun, because typically I'm not a big fan of ranking songs like this is the best song, because I don't think it's up to anybody to tell you what the best song of a band is. But I guess the way they framed it, whatever blurb you just read of their like relative whatever importance, I think if you had to explain Soundgarden to somebody who'd never heard them before, I certainly think 4th of July is a hell of a place to start.
Yeah. I think it just captures them in 5 minutes, however long it is. It does an excellent.
Yeah,
it's just perfect. So
that's fantastic.
Take it or leave it. That's what Vulture says. But I like looking at other people's lists, and
it's always interesting.
They had Spoon Man at 13.
Okay, yeah. So just outside of the top 10. That's we like Spoon Man. Spoon Man's an important song, as we've said before. But yeah, it's always interesting to see how different people rank songs, and I'd be really interested to hear what the band the people in the band were to think about like what their favorites were, what their best songs, in their opinion were, because I mean, nobody knows the music better than them. Those are about the only people that, if they were to rank the songs, that I would give credence to their ranking. Like these people at Vulture, I don't know what they know that I don't, because apparently Boot Camp is a shitty song, but I guess that we're breaking even though, because they put 4th of July at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine? Like, it's so hard to even like kind of quantify ranking 134 songs from one band.
Yeah, like, well, what's the difference between the 117th best song and the 108th best song? Like you're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, I guess. But
I mean, it's cool. Everybody, I love taking the time to do it.
I'm glad they did it, because that is not a job for us. I could not imagine sitting down. I mean, you think of a band like Pearl Jam. I think they have 10 studio albums trying to rank all of those songs. Like, no thanks. That's not a job for me. So I hope everybody knows that they can never expect that type of thing from us. It's just not going to happen.
We'll do like top 3s maybe.
Yeah, top 2.
Yeah, so I thought that was fun. It'd be kind of fun to talk about.
Absolutely, and it's great to get some Soundgarden talk in. And for me, Pearl Jam is probably always going to be my like favorite of the quote unquote grunge bands from the Pacific Northwest, just because of their personal importance to me and the way that I tie their music to different memories and events in my life. But that number 2 slot always seems to alternate back and forth between Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and then the Screaming Trees are in there a little bit too. But I mean, man, like after having spoken about Soundgarden for the last, half hour, I think if you were to ask me today, Soundgarden's definitely, one of my favorite, music acts of all time.
Yeah. They just have so many songs that I've listened, like so many songs that I've listened to many times. And I can't deny that I'm connected to them in a great way. So yeah, I would put they're at the top of my list too. They're just I find myself listening to them a lot recently, actually too.
Definitely. And something thinking about Soundgarden too, I think they're just a masterclass in, a band being the sum of its parts, where everybody is equally responsible for the works that go forward. And, that band doesn't happen without Ben Shepherd, just as it doesn't happen without Matt Cameron, just as it doesn't happen without Chris, or just as it doesn't happen without Kim. I think, and a lot of times too, as we get away from different eras and people are trying to, solidify legacies and carve out territory, that kind of gets lost, that, these bands don't happen without every single individual that was ever a part of that band.
Right.
And I think that's something that we always need to remember about all of these bands, but I think particularly about Soundgarden, that, that band was what that band was because of everybody who was involved.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely a great example of a band working together and just making beautiful music and working together. Yeah, I agree. I think that is that's something that I really appreciated from them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think lately people have been forgetting about that. So it's always good to grace the airwaves with that. But I'm loving.
We got to get them to the Hall of Fame.
We have to get them to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, Matt Cameron, Matt Cameron's in the Rock Hall of Fame for like 15 other bands. We got to get Soundgarden in there.
I don't know why, but I think it feels like our responsibility. Somehow we have to. I think we've been asked to share petitions for this to get people.
So I think our seminal focus, like we might need to kill the whole Wood thing and then take this up as our torch. That we need to get Soundgarden in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
What if we did?
What if we did?
What if we were in the footnotes of like
for a while campaign.
There'll be some like documentary in a couple of years, like they were getting snuffed for a long time, but then lo and behold, they got a little crowd backing, between Grunge Bible and Vulture.
Well, you think about
created enough drummed up enough.
But I mean, honestly, you think of all the other dumb shit that's gone viral over the internet. Yeah, I mean, if this you carve out like a little piece and you're like, you know what, this is my contribution. at that point, if we helped get Soundgarden in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we'd be able to do whatever we want with the page, and no one could complain, because that is a worthy contribution to grunge canon. But who knows? Maybe
we need to think about this a little more. That could be something.
We gotta workshop this and see what we can do.
Yeah, we die happy with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's going to be our initiative. Is get Soundgarden into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because we definitely have no ability to actually impact that, but we'll see.
No.
Yeah. We will see. But I'm loving the Soundgarden talk. That was good.
It's fun to think about, It
is fun to think about if we were able to impact that. But let's move forward. Ethan, do you have a song of the week? This is the first full week of the month of May, 2021.
Yeah, I love this. So now we're caught up, which is great. And because we're recording on a Monday and this is going to come out Friday. So everything is current. So it's actually what we're listening to right now. And I got a good one for you. I actually just posted on our story today. It is a friend of mine has a band back in Philly, and they've been following. We used to play shows around the same time when I was in high school, and they're my brother's age. But the band is Chestnut Grove, and they just released a single called "Ain't Got Nobody," and it's really I love it. I really do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. They have this. There's James and Dee. There's two singers, a guy and a girl, and they switch back and forth, and one plays drums, the other sings, and then they'll actually go back and forth, and they both play drums and guitar. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. And they're a jam band. They have like she has like some Janis Joplin, and he has like a lot of like Kings of Leon type voicing, and it's really jammy, but like pretty folky and just awesome. So shout out. He's always a big support, but the song's really great, and it's worth a share. So you guys, I think you'd like it, Chris. It's pretty good.
I saw you share that earlier this morning. I have to circle back around and give that a listen, because
absolutely,
it's close to home. We like that. We like our friends creating music and sharing it with the world. So,
how about you, Chris? Have you been listening to a lot of music this weekend?
I have been listening to a lot of music this weekend. So, the last several weekends I've been busting my ass trying to move. I just, for all intents and purposes, completed the move yesterday. And simultaneously, because I don't think about things before I plan them, I'm also training for a marathon right now. So my weekends have been, get up on a Saturday or Sunday and run, 15 to 20 miles and then move for 7 hours and then get up on Sunday and do it again. But yesterday, finally, I was able to breathe for a little bit. So I got up. I did my long run on Saturday. So then the next day, Sunday, I woke up, went for like a nice little recovery run, got a couple miles in, came back. It was still kind of early. And I threw on a playlist, like one of those like stereotypical Spotify, like chill, like Sunday playlists or whatever. And I heard a song called Light of a Clear Blue Morning by Waxahachie. So that was a musical project by Katie Crutchfield, and she's
Waxahachie.
Yeah, so good. Their album St. Cloud just came out in 2020. And I think they just released like a deluxe version or like an addition to it recently, and this song Light of a Clear Blue Morning was on that. So I was in need of something just to set the mood a little bit. I came back in, first morning in my new apartment, I had a nice coffee. I was making some eggs, and I put this song on, and I just sat down and I was like, this is good. This song is important. I listened to it a couple times. It's kind of like a little bit of like folk indie vibe, but this one's like really slow and relaxing. And I needed that at the time. So we're locking that in as song of the week. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I needed, it's always funny.
There's some good songs.
Yeah. And it's always funny. You think about, when you're tired, sometimes like music can make you a little less tired or just calm you down a little bit. So I needed that. It was time to rest, and Waxahachie helped me rest. It was really awesome. So I was really grateful for that. But
that goes with the spring mood. I feel like both our songs are kind of spring cleaning type jammy.
Absolutely. About to be spending a lot more time outside. The sun's not setting until 8:30 p.m. This is my favorite time of year, like just when we're starting to break into the good weather, just because it's been so long, and I love spending time outside. Pretty much any time of the day I can get out there, even if it's raining. I don't care. Like I love running in the rain and just different things like that. But yeah, man, hopefully this summer will be better than the last.
I can guarantee that. I think
we'll be moving forward, but
awesome.
Yeah. So, anyways, as we spoke about earlier in this podcast episode, we wanted to thank Shannon, Sonny, and Victor, our 3 top-level patrons. And currently, we have 17 of you who have decided to support the cause in that manner. And if you like the podcast so far and you like what you're hearing, you can go over to grungebible.com, and our Patreon account is linked there. There's 3 tiers that you can support us at each month, and you can select your tier, and it will automatically, support us each month, and that will allow us to produce this show, to host it with an RSS feed. It'll help with website upkeep and different things like that keep this podcast running on all cylinders. And that's the most direct way to support us with this podcast. But additionally, we have merchandise available for purchase, and the links are also there on grungebible.com. And one more addition, as of this morning, Grunge Bible has a TikTok account. So if you go to if you go to @grunge_Bible on TikTok, it is there. We do own it. We don't know how to use it yet. We don't know what we're going to use it for. It's probably going to be really stupid, but if you like TikTok, if you're on TikTok, we'd love it if you come along for the ride. Ethan, what is your opinion of TikTok? Because I know you don't have one, and I don't have one either, except for this one.
I'll just say that when you texted me and you said that we made a TikTok, I was like, what?
Why did we do this?
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, Chris, you're trying to kill me.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. I just, my opinion is, yeah, it's clearly influential and clearly really big. I can't introduce another social media, so I've been staying away as long as I can. But
yeah, there's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of room at the inn in terms of social media, because we have our personal accounts. We have Grunge Bible. We have Porch Radio. You have the USA Javelin Project account. Mm-hmm. I work with social media as my full-time day job. Yes. It's like my entire life is social media.
I just want to break my phone. I know four times a day. I just want to throw it against the wall. It's so draining sometimes. Yeah. I pretty much, I phased out of Facebook a few years ago because I just couldn't. I could only do one. Instagram. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. So, but TikTok, of course,
we'll see,
Yeah, it is a little intriguing. I feel like I could get stuck on it. That's why I've stayed away. So,
absolutely.
Who knows?
Yeah, we've both been known to get stuck in the time-space continuum of social media. That's something I certainly struggle with is, unplugging. I've gotten good at the end of the day, like when it's time to go to bed, putting the phone away. But during the day, man, it's hard. And like people are texting you and like, trying to make lunch or something. And like, just like, you know what, that can wait. But hopefully that's something this year I'd like to get a little better at, is just being able to, put the phone down and unplug. But I guess that's going to be harder now because Grunge Bible is on TikTok.
What's next?
Are we gonna go back to MySpace, or are we gonna?
Dude, I think we could get a pretty good following on MySpace.
We should release our podcasts exclusively on Napster. I don't think Napster exists anymore, but we got to bring that back and be like, you know what, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, like y'all had a good run, but we're Napster guys. I think that'll be. But honestly, I'm praying to God that no other social media forms come along, because I really can't do many more.
No, it's. What's the other one? I thought there was something else that like, it was like, should we do it? No, we can't do it. I thought there was something else.
Probably, but thankfully we didn't do it. So keep your eyes peeled for some riveting content from the Grunge Bible guys over on TikTok. We'll see what happens there, but I believe that will do it for episode 8 of the Grunge Bible podcast. Ethan, I had a great time sitting down talking some Soundgarden. It was good stuff.
One more shout out. Well, 2 more actually. Shout out to Drew McFadden for doing our engineering and producing and giving us a great intro. Always want to thank him. And then lastly, I want to shout out you, Chris. You guys don't realize, man, Chris is an absolute workhorse over here at Grunge Bible.
Oh, man.
I love giving him the recognition when I can. You do a great job. You're really good at this. Like you said, the social media wears on you, but you have a way of just kind of trudging through and always getting the job done. And this thing could not roll without you. And you know that, I know that, but the people need to as well. So Chris, we're really thankful for you. You're our biggest sponsor.
Oh man.
until someone comes in and actually sponsors us.
Yeah, it'll, you know what? I mean, everything that you just said for me can be said for you. And I think the one thing about this page, as we've spoken about, is, it ebbs and flows how much we're both individually able to do. But, without fail, if I'm busy or I've got some things going on, just as when you have some things going on, the other person picks up the slack right there. And, as men wiser than us once said, we all get by with a little help from our friends. So, we put the load on me, as they say. So
put the load on me. Yeah, we're out here doing our best. So
yeah, it's all we can do.
Yeah. So thank you. Another great episode in the books. We look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yeah.
Episode
follow, 9
subscribe.
Coming soon. Yeah. Especially on TikTok. Follow us on TikTok. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you next week. Take care, everybody.
Rock and roll.
Awesome.